E poi volevo vedere se è collegato Tonko Obuljen, che è il prossimo ospite nostro da remoto, il chairman del BEREC. Oh yes, Mr. Obuljen, welcome.
Buongiorno a tutti. Well, it's good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I leave you the floor so you can talk about BEREC and whatever you want. 10 minutes you have. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'll try to be shorter than 10 minutes. I'm aware that time is running. Well, I'm sorry for not being there, but unfortunately we cannot always be where we really want to be. So it's an honor for me to address you as a BEREC chair for 2024. And BEREC is, as probably most of you know, the body of European regulators for electronic communications. And we consist of 27 national regulatory authorities, independent national regulatory authorities from all member states. And we have an additional members from the states which are not the members of European Union, but have some trade or agreements on the accession with EU. And of course, Italian EGICOM is a BEREC member, and I would just like to use this opportunity here in Italy to thank to EGICOM for being very active member in BEREC. So the mission of BEREC is to foster the independent, consistent, and high-quality regulation of digital markets for the benefits of Europe and citizens of Europe. And our work is based on our three strategic priorities, which are promoting full connectivity, very much connected with the 5G, supporting sustainable and open digital markets, so we don't anymore speak about the electronic communications markets only, and empowering end users. And we are right in the middle of the preparation of our strategy for the next period, the period from 2026 to 2030. But of course, this strategy will depend on the further development of the regulatory framework and the future role of BEREC. So, well, with that, and I'm not the first one to come there, we come to a recently published white paper. You know probably everything about the document, which is really providing the list of policy issues and possible actions divided into three pillars. So BEREC welcomes this initiative of the Commission, and we will, of course, contribute to the public consultation, which is open until June 30th. In general, I can say we support pillars 1 and 3, as we believe that it is extremely important for the EU sovereignty to be able to use secure and resilient networks, to use quantum computing, to provide advanced services to the end users, businesses included. However, we as BEREC, as the regulators, have some doubts about various aspects mentioned in second pillar. And of course, it would take me too much time to delve into details, but let me just emphasize a few general observations. So first, we think that several market and technological challenges outlined by the white paper are not sufficiently substantiated in terms of data and relevant analysis. Of course, it's a policy paper, and probably more analysis will follow. Furthermore, while delays on the side of demand for high-speed connectivity are highlighted, we didn't find many measures to be put forward in this respect. And it's a general remark at first glance on the whole white paper that it is not really very clear on the benefits for the EU citizens. We think that market consolidation might be relevant for the business case of a pan-EU operator, but that it would not really serve the consumer benefit and possibly not really increase take-up. And actually, we believe that it could lead to the opposite outcomes. So you know that regulators are always all about the competition, and we believe that we should continue to promote maintaining up and downstream competition with ex-ante regulation where required, only where required, and tailored to national or even subnational markets, which could still be ex-ante regulated. Well, coming back to the spectrum issues, the mobile operators that are part of transnational corporate groups also do not harmonize their offerings and operational systems at EU level. And that fact is presented as a lack of harmonization. But, well, nevertheless, and the paper itself somehow recognizes this. Differences in offerings and prices across member states are also due to the different market and regulatory landscapes and are probably therefore natural, let's say. And this also explains that we currently have the country of destination approach in the electronic communications sector, where network and services are provided to end user located nationally. And of course, we should not forget that different security rules, national security rules, are also applied in different member states. Well, regarding past spectrum auctions and the alleged overpayments for spectrum, our preliminary analysis does not seem to completely support this narrative. So where spectrum is timely auctioned, rollout to a large percentage of country population follows rapidly. Of course, we discussed the standalone 5G. It is still not there in many countries. But our view is that the result of recent award processes seems to support that the prices paid, if we look at the prices per megahertz and per population, are consistent, whereas one might expect to be wide variations in prices and if overpayments were an issue. But however, the market is changing very or extremely fast. And we believe it is true that we have to align the regulatory framework. We at BEREC recognized this fact, and we have been exploring how many new trends such as virtualization, cloudification, rise of tower companies or infrastructure-only companies, wholesale operators, and entering of large content and applications providers into the electronic communication sector affect the market of electronic communications networks and services. And we dedicated some of our work streams to the subsea cables and to satellite communications as well. So there are few questions I've been asked very much on several occasions recently. And those are, what went wrong with the 5G? Why are all those nice things like autonomous driving or remote medical services not happening? What about private 5G networks and industrial applications? What about slicing? And what about the usage of 5G for broadcasting or even mission critical applications? Well, I guess there's no simple answer to all these questions, but I believe, and Ilse already spoke about this, that every single stakeholder, including us regulators, should learn a big lesson from the 5G. So we started by establishing some political goals regarding timing of auctions and the timing to cover. And right in the middle of that, we first faced a global pandemic lockdown, and then as soon as we recovered, aggression on Ukraine started. So I think it is not a wonder that investors have been a little hesitant to invest in the 5G use cases, and many of them are still hesitant. End users, on the other hand, Ilse was talking about that as well, were not ready to pay more for the service, which did not seem to be much better than the one they had already had. Operators invested in spectrum, that's true, and could not really monetize this investment, and it's possible that this led to slower deployment of standalone 5G. In some countries, and this includes my country, Croatia, operators faced some additional obligations on coverage of the underserved areas to help bridging the digital divide and to possibly provide fixed wireless access, which also didn't happen. And several operators recently expressed their concerns on the usage of slicing, which could potentially violate the open internet regulation provisions. I personally do not think that this is the case, but we should perhaps state it somewhere very clear in regulation to avoid any misinterpretation, especially possible misinterpretation by the court. BEREC is currently working on the report of on the evolution of private and public 5G networks in Europe. And we intend to report on both the drivers for and requirements of private networks and on the evolution of public networks towards meeting new user demands. Well, we hope that there are relevant 5G case studies to examine, and we plan to do it and to elaborate on that. The purpose would be to provide a factual overview on the extent of the use of private and public 5G networks in Europe. The draft report will be published for the public consultation in the beginning of October 2024.
Good.
And after the public consultation, which you are all invited to participate in, the final report will be published in March 2025.
That's good. Mr. Obuljen, thank you very much for your contribution. Sorry to interrupt you. I hope to meet you in person very soon so we can talk about water polo, which is our passion, common passion. Okay.
Yes, that's fine.
So have a nice work, and we're waiting for the draft of your contribution from BEREC, and it was really a pleasure to have you here in 5G&Co. So bye-bye. See you soon.
Thank you very much for inviting me. See you.
Thank you. See you later. Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.